Namaskar to this episode of very popular title Gazali. Today we have with us a totally different personality, Govan of course, Padma Vibhushan, Gomanta Vibhushan, it's known as Urja Maharshi, and when I introduce this prefixes, you will take no time to guess that it is none other than Dr. Anil Kakodkar. Doctor, welcome to Prudent Media. Doctor, you have been here to attend a very well planned and well organized 2-day seminar on education. Now, yours was a generation prior to mine, then now there is a new generation. Do you find that the difference in the educational approach and the educational system, the teacher student relationship that existed, has it changed? If changed, then has it changed for good or bad?
Well, let me first thank you for this opportunity to express myself here. Coming back to your question, I think I have a mixed answer. Mixed answer in the sense, so we should divide this in two parts. One, the kind of communication or emotional relationship or mentoring between the teacher and the taught. And the second part is opportunities for children to get equipped with new information, what's happening around, opportunities to learn. That's the second part. And I think both are, in my view, inseparable as far as good education is concerned. On the first part, I think there are always good teachers and whom we remember lifelong. I'm sure I remember my teachers in primary school, and there is a kind of a lifelong connect, and I'm sure it should be the same case with you or anybody out there. Obviously, we remember those teachers because they have impacted us, and so quite apart from how they taught, what they taught, which is of course important, but I think more important is this connect, their ability to mentor, their ability to impact. And there are always good teachers. I would say even in earlier times, it's not as if we remember all teachers, but we remember some. I'm sure even today there are, we remember the generation now or generation next would remember some, maybe they may not remember all. Proportion of that, whether it is increasing or decreasing, I think debatable question. The fact is that there is huge pressure on the system, huge pressure on teachers. The workload of teachers has gone up, and there is also this question about, see, after all, teachers are also part of the same society. So this may have some impact, whether it has actually resulted in quantitative degradation. I can't say for sure, but there could be some. On the second part, in terms of students' opportunity they have for learning or at least getting informed, I think it's very clear that today opportunities are way larger, bigger than what they were earlier. If there is a reasonable environment for students to explore themselves, and even if that environment is not as conducive as some may say as was in yesteryears, but the ability to access information and to some extent knowledge today well, more of it outside the classroom, but even in classroom in some cases, is way larger than what it was earlier. So, if you ask me, is student of today more equipped than what the student of yesterday was, I would say answer is emphatic yes. Is the quality of teaching better or worse than earlier? I would say you will have to look at it in a context. Is the quality of teachers better or earlier I said? I would say perhaps the same, but you must factor in the additional pressures teachers have. So that's the way I would sum it. So I'm sorry, it's not a straight
No, it's
yes
all
or
right.
no answer,
Yeah.
but that's what.
No, that's okay. I want to take you a little back in the same context, doctor. After you did your 12th or at that time probably inter science, correct? Yes. There must have been also a mad rush for going to medicine and engineering at that time also. What made you choose pure science? Was and coming to a sub question, was that the influence of any of your teachers on you?
Well, actually, my case is a little odd, and again, for example, I in fact wanted to go to science stream after intermediate, and I in fact went to the vice principal of my college where I was doing intermediate science, because he was one of the key mentors for me. Uh, to say that, well, I have passed intermediate science with such and up, and we go and say, offer sweets, pedha, and take the blessings and all. So he naturally asked, what am I going to do next? And I said, I'm going to continue in the same college. I'll continue for BSc. Then he said, but you will get admission in engineering college. But I said, no, I want to do this. Then he asked me, you will do BSc in which subjects? I said, physics, mathematics. You have to specify a principal and a subsidiary subject. And he actually sort of brought me to ground reality of things, and encouraged me, in fact, forced me or coerced me to get in engineering college. And in those days, the admission to engineering college used to be, you have to send the application form through the science college. So he said that, well, you fill in the form and give it to me, rest of it we'll see. And that's how I ended up in VJTI for mechanical engineering. But I wanted to be in research and development. So after doing engineering, I got back to BARC because I wanted to get into research. So that's the way it happened. But the fact is, in those days, the major trend for students was to get into the so-called, in those days, the popular thing for engineers was to get into industrial engineering kind of domain, industry connect. The Today, I think there are many opportunities. Of course, there are institutions like IITs which do engineering, technology, but also sciences. And there are institutions like ICERS, NICER, which and today, for example, if you look at ICER and NICER, and NICER I know for sure, or for that matter, we have this Center for Basic Sciences in Mumbai University. Now, practically, I think near 100% or maybe 100% students continue in research after MSc. Some of them may be in India, some of them may be abroad, but they are all uniformly in research. So, so things have changed, I think, I would say.
Yeah, that change, doctor, when we speak of a changing pattern of education, we talk of technology assisted education system now. And whatever I have read or whatever little I have heard, when you talk of technology, it becomes very or near specific, limited only to computer. So technology means computer. Is there anything beyond that which can be assimilated or assisted with education?
Well, I think there, of course, ICT or information computer technologies or communication technology is certainly a very important element in enriching the process of education in variety of ways. But clearly learning is much beyond that. For example, we talk about, uh, at least I have been talking about this holistic learning environment. Now, holistic learning environment, you of course learn several subjects, get to know them, and then as you go higher in education, you go up to the frontiers of knowledge existing in that subject. That should be always in an environment of good quality research, so that there is always effort to push those frontiers. And teachers who are researchers, who are engaged in pushing those knowledge of frontiers, can in fact make sure that the teaching or the learning on part of the students is up to the frontiers of knowledge existing at a given point of time. Now, this is one part of it. As far as learning is concerned, I divide it in three layers. One is this layer where you are talking about knowledge at, as it evolves. So it remains, the teaching and learning should always remain contemporary. The second layer is the so-called procedural knowledge. Uh, Things like if an engineer has to construct a house, he does step A, step B, step C. If a doctor has to treat a patient or conduct a surgery, he does step A, step B, step B. So it's based on lot of knowledge inputs and then background on doing how to do things using that knowledge. And this can be at various levels. It can be at a very high level. It can be at a very, somewhat lower level. But it's procedural knowledge. And a third is skills. You must be able to, even if you are in research, for example, experimental research is an important thing. And experimental research is not about buying an equipment and pushing some buttons and generating results. Experimental research is about identifying a problem to be solved, defining an experiment which will address the issues connected with this problem to find an answer, either affirmative or negative, whichever way it is. And now if you want to develop or design experiments to be able to do that, you must have the necessary skills to build those experimental setups. You cannot say that I have something in mind and expect somebody else to build you that equipment. This may happen, but this may take time. It cannot happen as you are doing your research. And this is where the cutting edge technology resides. You see, the best of technology usually would be in the top line research, and then it gets into the technology products which we all use. If I have to just give an example, we are all used to www. Where it started? It started in CERN, where the scientists felt the need to communicate data, exchange information at such high level of data management. So, and this all has to get into the process of education and learning, so that your learning is really at high level. So technology in all its dimensions should be a part of the holistic learning environment. But that's the way. That's the way. Now coming back to ICT, ICT is very important because when you are talking about